Chapter 43.1. There's even a basement floor here. In front of the staircase leading to the basement, half fear and half anticipation were written on Go Yeonjun's face. Baek Sang-yeon scoffed. Yeah, I know how you feel. And the person standing next to us. Without any explanation, he somehow knew there was a basement and insisted we had to go to the first basement floor. If you don't want to go, we can just split up here. Baek Sang-yeon fell silent. Now that he had confirmed the basement existed, it seemed he wasn't willing to miss the opportunity to see whether Kim Solium has something up his sleeve. I briefly explained to Go Yeonjun that I had used some special equipment to decipher the guide notice posted near the elevator and had identified a potentially useful space. And so we finally started down the basement stairs. The further we descended, the clearer it became. The style has changed. The mansion, previously shimmering with a brass hue, now took on a darker bronze-like tone. More avant-garde decorations began to appear. For some reason, it felt like we were descending much deeper than the distance from the second floor to the first. Eventually, stately, old-fashioned double doors appeared beside the staircase. B1, that's what it reads. We had arrived. I cautiously gripped one of the door's handles. After confirming that no mechanical noises could be heard from the other side, I carefully opened it. What was revealed beyond the door wasn't an exhibition hall or a corridor. Go Yeonjun's eyes grew wide. This is a lounge for visitors, I assume. It was a type of resting area. The large hall was designed for comfort. Luxurious armchairs and vintage tables were arranged throughout, and a bronze-hued fireplace burned warmly in one corner. Is this what you read about in the elevator? Yes. Places like this are usually near a lobby. Maybe there's an exit nearby. I don't know, but the manual mentioned certain actions that were prohibited in the exhibition hall. I thought a resting area might have fewer restrictions. That's right. The hope was that some actions forbidden in the exhibition hall might be allowed here. Things you couldn't do, like eating. Yes. Eating or drinking in the exhibition hall is prohibited. But it's not like we need to eat anything right now. That's true. Not exactly. What I'm trying to do is something that's considered part of eating and is therefore prohibited. What do you mean? I pulled out an item I had prepared from my bag. Easy and fast candle-making kit. Open flames are prohibited too. Now it was time to create an escape tool. Go Yeonjun gulped nervously. Right in front of her, an unbelievably capable colleague was doing something utterly ridiculous. Like this. Kim Solium pulled a strange box from his satchel and quickly skimmed through the enclosed instructions. But the box didn't look ordinary at all. Why on earth would someone bring a candle-making kit? I've never seen a brand like that before. The logo, Cheerful Research Institute, gleamed tackily alongside a bright smiley face, but the instructions Kim Solium held were scrawled in messy handwriting with dark red ink. It felt eerily strange. Something you might encounter in a ghost story. At that moment, Baek Sang-yeon muttered, An item. An item. Instinctively, I turned to Kim Solium, who answered quite kindly. Yes, a tool imbued with supernatural abilities. Then isn't that considered darkness? It might depend on the classification method, but it seems that objects with stable irregularities, portability, and no defined domain are referred to as items. How does Solium SSI know all of this? Aren't we both new hires? Why is there such a difference in knowledge? And where on earth did he get that? For Go Yeonjun, who had prided herself as being among the top 3 most capable among the new recruits, The situation was bewildering. And to top it off, he looks incredibly skilled at handling it. Noticing her gaze, Kim Solium glanced back and, as if to justify himself, said, "This is my first time making one too." It's the truth. While he had read the instructions several times and pondered how to use it, this was Kim Solium's first time actually crafting something. However, from the perspective of a colleague who didn't know he had already conducted 3 similar rituals, it was simply overwhelming. No, someone like him. Shouldn't he be starting his own business instead of just finding a job? Why is he tangled up in a horror show of a company like this? But soon, cold reality brought her thoughts back into focus. It must be because of the wish ticket. A wish that couldn't be given up. Go Yeonjun nearly sank into mutual pity for their respective circumstances, but quickly steadied herself. For now, she just needed to focus all her energy on escaping. Even the rage at her R-Squad leader, who had ditched her the moment a monstrous machine appeared, would be turned into fuel. She only wished she could take back her earlier thoughts that this team, at least, wouldn't have the usual workplace hierarchy issues or the stress of human relationships. Die Squad leader, still thinking that her R-Squad superiors might actually end up being brutally killed, with their eyes, noses, and mouths torn apart, felt oddly unsettling. It's ready. The Go Yeonjun, who had been lost in thought, snapped her attention back at Kim Solium's voice. Before she knew it, he had laid out a black piece of paper on the floor and drawn a small design on it with the provided crayon. It was, a candle. Yes, it looked like a candle, or rather, a flat drawing that outlined a candle's shape. But Kim Solium paid no mind and pointed with one hand to the cards placed near the drawing. You can see the cards, right? Why, yes. Pick one of them. Then it determines the item's attribute. Would she be tricked or caught up in something by doing this? Go Yeonjun hesitated for a moment, but then reached out. So far, there hadn't been anything suspicious or unpleasant about Kim Solium's actions, and objectively speaking, he had always treated her with goodwill. Let's try it. Her brain, which she trusted as a reliable data processor, urged her forward. She flipped over one of the scattered cards on the floor without much hesitation. The card's face depicted a vibrant blue figure raising one hand. At the top of the image, a white star sparkled like a jewel. Honor. A faint smile appeared on Kim Solium's face. You picked well. Did she? I don't think I particularly need honor right now. Anyway, if he said it was good, that was a relief. Kim Solium then turned his head and, in a voice that sounded less than enthusiastic, called out to Beek Sahian. Pick a card. Then Beek Sahian seemed to be calculating the situation in his head, narrowing his eyes as he reached out his hand. The card he flipped over showed a grinning mouth and a red iron cage. Interference. Suits you. What? Kim Solium ignored him and continued with the process. I will now flip over the remaining cards. Yes, yes. Whatever it was, let's just do it. Go Yeonjun watched as Kim Solium swiftly flipped over the cards with his precise movements. There were 10 cards left. Confusion, healing, meditation, wound, deceit, dream, rage, protection, strike, and gaze. The 10 remaining cards were revealed and laid out on the floor. What in the world is this? After having them draw cards as if it were some kind of tarot reading, why reveal all of them at the end? Seeing Kim Solium's next action, she understood. The last card could be chosen directly. Deceit. Kim Solium picked out a card with a golden gear drawn next to a black heart. He then burned all 3 cards they had chosen using a lighter. Flames burst into vivid colors as the cards turned into shimmering ashes. The Gathering the ashes from the cards, he carefully spread them over the crayon-drawn candle outline he had created earlier and folded the paper. "It'll need about 30 minutes to set now." Kim Solium lifted the folded paper off the floor, tucked it neatly into the front pocket of his suit, and gave a faint smile. "This thing you just made. This candle will help us get out of here. If it doesn't work, I was planning to try again a few more times, but the keywords turned out well on the first attempt." "Skrielich." All three of them turned their heads at once. In the distance under the bronze light, a massive shadow emerged. 8 straight legs resembling those of a spider. And then, screech, the glowing eyes of a machine, leaking light like that of a gas lamp. "Run!" The three of them immediately bolted in the opposite direction at full speed. I knew. Even in a lounge, the machines could appear. Still, I guessed that they would patrol less strictly than in the exhibition hall, and had been willing to take the risk. There wasn't even anywhere to hide like in the vents, but why now of all times? Clenching my teeth, I sprinted across the corridor. Once we're detected, even hiding in another vent wouldn't help. The machine would simply follow. It was equipped with that level of tracking capability. Should we keep going straight? For now, straight ahead led to the main exhibition hall. Once there, they could only hope to draw the machine's attention away with a higher priority problem. But who knows how much more dangerous the exhibitions have become now that we're in the basement. And then, Fwick, the Beeksahian grabbed for my suit. "What now, you lunatic?" The punk shouted right at me. "That item, the candle, let's offer it up. It's valuable, isn't it?" I slapped his hand away and yelled back. "No, you idiot." "What?" "Look at the exhibition theme. Plus plus. This exhibition is being conducted free of charge for 1 hour under the open spirit of admiration for art. Plus plus. Art. Specifically, living beings, civilization, and history." I shouted at the top of my lungs. "What does this item have to do with that? Why would they accept it as payment? If items had any real value, wouldn't the employees of our company have already offered their own equipment before getting their eyes gouged out? Besides, the candle wasn't even finished yet." But Beeksahian once again reached for my bag, and Go Yeonjun, clearly fed up, let out an exasperated groan. "Let's at least try. What's the alternative, dying here?" Seriously, stop it and just keep running." I turned my head. At that moment our feet crossed through the large doors into the main exhibition hall. Then, catching my breath, I lifted my gaze. Starlight twinkled everywhere. No, were those fragments of stone. Countless pairs of glowing circles, all the same color, lined the walls and ceilings, gazing down at us. The walls were packed, covered in countless human eyes staring back at me. The eyes taken by the usher machines. Eek! I stopped in my tracks and lowered my head. Beside me, I could hear Beeksahian striking his remaining eye in frustration. My chaotic thoughts slowly settled. They've arranged them like stars in the universe. It's called glistening gaze, a rather cliché yet popular name. They must have been mindful of the contributors to the materials for this piece. The 3 walls of the vast black exhibition hall were completely covered in eyeballs, with not a single gap visible. The only entrance or exit was the door we had just come through. And through that very door, the usher machine was steadily advancing, without pause. We were trapped. "Mr. Roe dear, your choices intrigue me. You're at a dead end now. A place to run home seems like there's none. Fascinating. But my friend, you can escape anytime, anywhere, because you have me, Braun." That much I already knew. If I were alone, I could escape safely any time. Braun would gladly use his ability, which he called Lights Out, to erase my presence entirely. Then, while the others drew its attention, getting their eyes and ears gouged out, I could carefully slip away. In that case, wouldn't it be fitting for Mr. Beak Sahian to pay the price? After all, he doesn't have much of a life left anyway. True, we successfully created the candle, which required a recommended group of 3, so Beak Sahian was no longer necessary. I mean, I only kept him along to avoid a mental breakdown after all. Honestly, would it even matter if he died? In fact, his death might even be a net positive for society. In the chaos, perhaps Go Yeonjun might also manage to escape. Wait. Hold on, let's split up. That way if even one of us escapes. Ms. Goro. Yes. You're safe. Didn't you recently pay the fee? There should still be time left until the next cycle. Since Go Yeonjun had recently had her ear taken, she likely still had time left in her usage cycle. Hope flickered in Go Yeonjun's eyes. Then I'll go and try to distract. Screech. It had entered. The usher machine. Drrrrrrrk. Under the bronze candlelight, I saw the machine clearly for the first time. It was mercilessly sharp and intricate. Its form resembled a spider, with metal parts added as though the steel had been grafted onto flesh. Its head and thorax were oddly connected, with an abdomen and lower body beneath. Yet its vaguely humanoid, bipedal shape evoked a sense of uncanny dread, as if it was toying with the boundaries of intelligence and form. Its jagged, needle-like legs moved erratically, with joints bending at bizarre angles. From its head, 8 gas lamps shone yellow light, piercing through the pale shadows. Go Yeonjun, who had been moving forward, froze in place. It seemed as if the trauma from losing her ear had surged back into her mind. Understandable. Screech. The machine passed right by her. I knew it, which meant the machine was chasing me and Beak Sahian. Screech. I deliberated for the briefest moment. If the machine's attention shifted to Beak Sahian, I could quickly erase my presence and escape. It would be difficult while the machine focused solely on me, but with 2 targets, Braun's ability might still work. Oh, shall I use it now? I made my decision. No. Instead, I shoved Beak Sahian aside. Run! Beak Sahian already had only one eye left. He knew that meant the machine might take more than just his remaining eye this time. Who knows what kind of reckless actions he might resort to? Even if it took his ear as a substitute, the rejection of someone who had already lost one eye would likely be far more extreme. I couldn't predict the lengths he might go to. It was better to let him run. I said run. Beak Sahian hesitated for a moment. But as the machine moved toward me, he backed away cautiously before breaking into a full sprint toward the door and disappearing through it. At the same time, Go Yeonjun, understanding my glance, tightly shut her eyes and darted toward the door as well. Now then, do you have any questions for the usher, Mr. Roe dear? I lifted my head. The machine stood before me, its gas lamp light illuminating the grotesque form that resembled a hybrid of a spider and a woman, as if someone had attempted to mosaic the two together. Its appearance was grotesque and sent chills through me. The usher machine, its 8 legs and needle-like arms extending outward, began to twitch one of its limbs toward me. I bowed politely. Good day, I've just arrived here. I knew it wouldn't respond. Sure enough, the machine emitted an unintelligible noise and bent one of its massive needle limbs. It says that 1 hour and 54 minutes have passed since you entered, and additional charges have been calculated. I took a deep breath. Just a moment. Before I pay the fee, may I ask a question? Of course, it says. Do you take reservations for a guest room at the front desk? If you agree with my question, please nod your head once. If you disagree, shake your head from side to side. A nod. Thank you for the guidance, then. I stifled a sigh and asked what I had been leading up to. The critical question for escaping. These machines only remember information about their assigned zones, so they wouldn't know where the exit is. Even if I asked where the front desk was, it likely wouldn't have an answer. But if I rephrased the question to pertain specifically to its own zone, it might respond. Like this. After completing their visit and returning home, do guests on this first basement floor proceed to a lower floor? Or did they go to an upper floor? A nod. They're ushered to an upper floor, I see. Thank you. That's it. By asking each usher machine the right questions about its own floor, I could eventually narrow down the location of the exit. Assuming I didn't lose my eyes, mouth, or limbs before then. If it's above the first basement floor, that means it's in the ground level floors. Just knowing that was a significant breakthrough. The ground level included 7 floors, so the exit must be among them. This is a good lead. But the sense of relief was short-lived, like a candle burning out. Now the unavoidable moment had arrived. Screech. It says it will now collect the fee. Payment collection. If I think about this rationally, it's not a huge problem. They'll plug a rental item into the empty eye sockets, so I'll still have vision until we escape this darkness. Besides, I know this world well. I'm already familiar with several methods for restoring lost body parts, and I'm confident I can use them more easily than others. That's precisely why I'm standing here. It's a situation I've calculated and come to terms with. The problem is this overwhelming revulsion. Who could accept this so calmly and indifferently? Having both eyes plucked out raw by a monster. Especially in a room surrounded by the displayed eyes of others who were taken. Cold sweat dripped down my chin. Even so, I have to go through with this. I gritted my teeth. It wouldn't be completely detrimental to have my eyes removed. If I can't endure under these conditions, I might as well give up on surviving here entirely. Honestly, there would never be better conditions than now to test whether I, with my cowardly heart, could endure the horrors of this ghost story. Learning to withstand recoverable losses would help build my resilience. Yet my clenched hands trembled. Shit. Zing. A massive needle, sharp and metallic like the leg of a spider, moved toward my face. I held my breath. Whoosh! The needle was raised, ready to pierce my eye. Zing! I rolled my eyes to the side. In the darkness, a massive, spider-like form was approaching from the distance. Zing screech. Another usher machine. What's this? Aren't the machines supposed to have a programmed route? Shouldn't it be impossible for their paths to overlap? Sure enough, the machine that was about to extract my eye seemed to malfunction for a moment. Then, as if recalibrating its route, it moved away from me. It was as though it adjusted its trajectory on its own. Screech. I couldn't even exhale in relief. The new machine would just extract my eyes instead. I simply held my breath and stared at the newly arrived machine. It lifted its spider-like appendages high, stopping right in front of me. Then suddenly, who? You okay, Ro? The spider-like form crumbled away, revealing a human wearing a badger mask. Supervisor. It was Supervisor Park Min-seong, his face drenched in cold sweat, grinning slightly. Phew, that was close. A dark bronze-hued mansion. I followed Supervisor Park Min-seong, walking silently behind him. The supervisor, who had accomplished the insane feat of disguising himself as an usher machine, fooling the system, and rescuing a poor new hire, evaluated the situation in his own way. It's not like their AI is particularly advanced, maybe about as smart as a Roomba, so I figured I could trick it for a moment by mimicking its appearance. I wasn't entirely convinced the machine's intelligence was that rudimentary, but the timing had worked out and he had saved me. For that, I was eternally grateful. But how did you disguise yourself? My special equipment. Supervisor Park grinned and pointed to a cloth draped around his neck. Though, I recalled his earlier explanation about his personal equipment. Mine is a camouflage item. It can't transform me into a person, and its duration is short, so I only use it as a last resort. Until now, I had only heard about such things in ghost stories where they didn't work or were otherwise meaningless, but this was my first time seeing it in action. Under the right circumstances, it's actually pretty decent. I was tempted to borrow it as a parent seed, to make a new customization for my personal equipment. But that's not the priority right now. All right, phew. Now that I've found you, Ro, let's get out of this insane place. Have you found an escape route, sir? Then Supervisor Park didn't answer. He just smiled faintly. He must have some kind of plan. For now, I decided to trust him and quickly followed. This way. We climbed the stairs from the basement back to the ground floor. Before long, the surrounding area shifted from bronze to brass, and a grand corridor bathed in a golden hue came into view. We're above ground. That was enough to feel somewhat relieved, but the first floor was chaos. AAHHH, MMPH, UURGH, MY ear. Screams echoed from all directions. 2 hours have passed. Even the employees who had been hiding were now being caught by the usher machines, losing another body part, just as I nearly had earlier. Then, Supervisor Park didn't glance toward the sources of the screams. He simply kept walking. Don't look back, Ro. Then, I clenched my fists so tightly that veins bulged on the backs of my hands. I know it's hard, but right now, we need to focus on saving our own team. If we're going to keep collecting points here, we need to learn how to let go. Then, suddenly, I recalled the moment during a talk show when Supervisor Park had resigned himself to surviving. I have a family member in the hospital. I hope someone could check in on her after this filming, if possible. For some reason, I felt like I understood how this cheerful supervisor had managed to endure in this place. At any rate, I didn't argue. Before long, Supervisor Park scouted the area and seemed to have arrived at his destination safely. And that destination was here. Then, a window. The same tightly sealed opaque glass window Go Yeonjun had tried so hard to open earlier. Don't tell me he plans to go through here. But instead of desperately prying it open, Supervisor Park raised a finger and knocked on the glass softly. Knock, knock. The window suddenly slid open. No, it wasn't just opening. It slid downward all the way to the floor, revealing itself to be a terrace door. This wasn't a window at all. Was that why the exploration record said ===? The 19th record is a testimony from a visitor who attempted to pass through a window. However, due to credibility issues, it has been omitted. This exhibition does not have windows. What I had dismissed as a typical ghost story manual phrasing turned out to be literal. There really weren't any windows. Let's go. Yes, sir. Without hesitation, we stepped through the open terrace door. Beyond it was a small hexagonal terrace with a long sofa and table. However, the view beyond the terrace was obscured by dense black fog, as if visibility was intentionally denied to us. Tap. As Supervisor Park warily closed the terrace door, someone seated on the sofa rose and tapped my shoulder. I knew you'd make it. Assistant Manager. It was Assistant Manager Yoon Hage. And next to her, the slit pupils of Squad Leader Lizard met my eyes calmly. Our squad leader suggested expanding the search range since you weren't nearby, and it turns out you were just downstairs. Thank you very much. Did you purposely head to that eerie basement to find an exit? That's very like you. I glanced at Supervisor Park with newfound appreciation. Descending to the basement, with no clear information about the floors, had been an incredibly bold decision. Thank you truly. Thanks to him, I still had both eyes intact. Still, how exactly did you open this? Someone else tried earlier but failed to open it as a window. I just used my hands. Then, of course you did. If the body suffers, the mind suffers even more, right? Looking closer, the terrace door handle seemed a bit wobbly. Wouldn't it be a disaster if the ushers discovered this? However, my D-Squad superiors, including Chief Lizard, seemed unfazed by the unusual situation. They simply began discussing the next steps calmly. Well then, now that our squad's back together, should we attempt an escape, Squad Leader? Yes. Do you have a viable escape plan? Yes. Could you share what it is? Chief Lizard answered succinctly. We're going to tie a rope to the terrace railings and explore the outer walls of this exhibition space. Then, from the outside, there's got to be a floor with the main entrance. We just need to head there. That's quite the idea. I see. If this cursed mansion didn't have 7,000 underground floors, it might have sounded tempting. And if I didn't already have an easier escape item in my satchel, it might have been worth considering. I could just use this to get out. Thinking about the candle, which should be solidifying nicely, I raised my hand. Please wait a moment. If I showed it to them and explained, I might be able to convince them. I just needed to stall a bit more time until it was ready, and perhaps rescue some others while I was at it. I was with 2 fellow new hires earlier, but we got separated. They should still be nearby. If you could give me a moment, I'll go and find them. Then, Row. Assistant Manager Yoon Hage spoke bluntly. There are exactly 3 new hires in this mission, including you. Then, they said they picked a few high-performing rookies and dropped them in here. But we all know they just needed to fill the numbers. Sunbi, let me speak. Supervisor Park, silenced by Yoon Hage, stayed quiet as the assistant manager continued. Remember lunch earlier? The higher-ups in the meeting room, they're hopping this might be an A-grade zone. It came back to me. Look, it's confirmed to be a high-grade darkness, but there are civilian survivors. This could be a revolutionary case for sourcing high-quality materials. They were so thrilled, talking about how it might be the most survivor-friendly A-grade resource site in history. A grade dream essence is always out of stock, after all. Then, new hires. From the beginning, they were considered expendable, written off as company expenses. Extracting high-quality materials from an A-grade site was far more valuable. It was true that the longer members of the field exploration team survived, the more their lives were valued, but ultimately, consumables were still consumables, disposable compared to more valuable resources. Remember this, the further up top people go, the less they value human lives. To them, people are just flies. Yoon Hage sighed and put his cigarette back in its case. So focus on saving yourself. Then, we don't have time, so let's move. If you start feeling sympathy, it'll only make things harder for you. I barely managed to open my mouth. That's not it. Ah, a kind soul. Fine, if we're lucky, maybe they'll get out too. One of my fellow rookies is holding the escape item. The? Of course, it was a lie. We don't even know what's outside. There's no need to recklessly climb down with a rope. But one thing was true. With that item, we can escape safely. I'm back underground. Though my legs wobbled from walking around alone, the clarity of my goal seemed to dull the fear. Find my fellow new recruits. You have 20 minutes. If you don't find them by then, we're heading back. My lie about the universe gasping, world-amazing escape item had somewhat worked. The time they gave me was short, but manageable. They couldn't have gone far. Shock reduces mobility. They're probably hiding nearby right now, trying to collect themselves. Besides, I had given them a hint earlier about good hiding spots. The vents. At the 7-minute mark of my search, I finally found someone crammed into the outer corridor vent on the basement floor. It was Beek Sahian. Hey. Beek Sahian avoided my gaze. Do you want to get out of here? Beek Sahian looked at me suspiciously, then slowly nodded. Then tell me where Ms. Goral is. This felt oddly like threatening someone for their comrade's location. She went into the left exhibition hall, probably hiding behind a sofa or something. Then, without hesitation, he gave up her location. What a spineless guy. In any case, I soon managed to find Go Yeonjun as well. By then, 14 minutes had passed. Mr. Rowe, dear, thank goodness truly. I briefly explained to the teary-eyed Go Yeonjun that a superior had come to help us and urged her to keep moving. I also gave her a specific instruction. I told them one of you's holding the key escape item, so please back up my story. I handed her the paper in my satchel with the candle outline drawn on it. Carefully, she slipped it into the front pocket of her suit and nodded. So I just have to keep quiet and play along. Yes. Beek Sahian, who had been effectively ignored during this process, looked like he had a lot to say but kept his mouth shut. He must have realized we were getting closer to escaping. When we reached the terrace door and stepped outside together, 19 minutes had passed. We had made it within the 20-minute window. Phew. I found them. Wow. I had a feeling this would happen because it's Roe. Assistant Manager Yoon and Supervisor Park threw in their remarks as the two rookies nervously looked around. It wasn't exactly a warm welcome. Meanwhile, Chief Lizard was already tying a rope to the terrace railing. No need for introductions. Supervisor Lee Jae-hyun spoke in a flat tone as he tied a secure knot. Explain your item within 200 seconds. The two rookies gulped audibly. I immediately stepped in. May I explain on their behalf? Go ahead. Now it was time to make a proper case. Based on the keywords I had combined, this candle. This item can deceive the usher machines. Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun stopped what he was doing. Is it really okay for us to go by ourselves? Is this the right way? It should be fine. Probably. Understanding the omitted words, Go Yeonjun swallowed a scream. After persuading his superiors, Kim Solium had taken his two fellow new hires with him to use the item and left the terrace. He probably said that to make it sound logical. Since he had claimed one of them owned the item, it only made sense for that person to take the lead. Although being lumped together with Beek Sahian under the umbrella term, us, felt a bit unsettling. Still, he's unusually quiet right now. But for the moment, what lay ahead concerned him far more. Then I'll take out the candle. Yes. Go Yeonjun returned the paper Kim Solium had given her, and he unfolded it. What happened next was astonishing. A cylindrical, heavy chunk of pale purple wax rolled into his hand. It was a real candle. The outline drawn with crayon remained imprinted on its surface, like a stamped pattern, revealing its transformation from a mere sketch into reality. Whoa! Kim Solium momentarily forgot the situation, marveling at the sight. Knowing what they planned to do with the candle only heightened his anticipation. Please wait a moment. Taking a deep breath, he pulled out a lighter and attempted to ignite the candle's wick. Whoosh! The flame brushed the wick, and nothing happened. Why isn't it lighting? Kim Solium even demonstrated his bizarre ability to flick a coin in midair, summoning a third hand to try igniting it, but to no avail. As if recalling something, Kim Solium hastily retrieved the candle kit's instructions and skimmed them. Is there a problem? He lowered the instructions with a strangely dry expression. No, I don't think so. But he knew the problem. At the bottom of the chaotic, dark red scribbled manual, in the section labeled Precautions for Use and Handling, one particular note stood out. The recommended users. This toy is designed to alleviate the fatigue of modern Earthlings. For safety reasons, extraterrestrials, beings from other realms, non-intelligent entities, gods, and all other non-human intelligences cannot use this product. I might not qualify. After all, Kim Solium was not a native of this place. A chill ran down his spine, but he knew that wasn't the priority right now. He needed to entrust it to someone reliable, someone with a low chance of acting rashly, someone with social and moral sense. Ms. Goral. I'll leave it to you. Go Yeonjun hesitated before taking the candle. She received the lighter as well and with trembling hands, held the flame to the wick. Whoosh! The flame brushed the wick, and it lit. Words began to emerge from the body of the candle, glowing faintly as if illuminated from within. The keywords from the cards they had drawn earlier. Honor, interference, deceit. Do you remember the cards we drew when creating the candle? They indicate the abilities it will manifest. Kim Solium's earlier explanation resurfaced in her mind as more phrases appeared on the candle. The bearer of this candle must present a deceitful form, empowered by the authority of interference, directed toward an honorable target. And the bearer will be granted a blessing. Impersonator of nobility. Go Yeonjun raised the candle high. A round orb of flame emerged from the candle like a lantern, hovering above her head before disappearing. The space around her softly lit up, resembling a subtle spotlight. Wow! As expected, it works as planned. Kim Solium, watching with a faint smile, nodded. This candle's effect can extend to 2 people near you, Ms. Goral. Goat and I will follow behind you. Yes. Go Yeonjun wondered if someone other than Beek Sahian could have been chosen, but since the item was Kim Solium's creation, she complied without complaint. Kim Solium spoke again in a hushed tone. Still, please be careful. Don't turn around to look at us. The effect only works if we remain hidden behind the candle bearer. Understood. And don't stare at the candle too closely. It might eat away at your mind. Go Yeonjun nodded slowly. Though tension gripped her shoulders, she managed to regain her composure. That was her specialty. You mentioned the exit is on the upper floors, so starting from the middle on the 4th floor makes the most sense. It reduces the number of possibilities. Yes, good plan. Their steps began to echo. The thought of what lay ahead sent shivers down her spine, but Go Yeonjun clenched her teeth. Here she was, probably the most timid of them all, tasked with holding the candle. I have to do my best. Little did she know, the most cowardly of their group was right behind her. Step, step. Their footsteps reverberated through the brass-lit hall. As they ascended toward the fourth floor, no sounds of the usher machines could be heard. But it wasn't reassuring, because their destination was found it. It was right in front of the usher machine. The new hires who had reached the fourth floor, followed the sound of the machine until they finally located the usher responsible for the hallway. Screech. Hey, if you run out of the candle's range now, it'll chase after you. You think I don't know that? The cold exchange between Kim Solium and Beek Sahian sent a chill down Go Yeonjun's spine. It felt like the needle-like components of the machine might move at any moment to gouge out her eyes. But swallowing her fear, Go Yeonjun stepped forward. One step at a time. Each step closer caused the reflection of the machine in the candlelight to waver. Standing before the grotesque spider-shaped machine, Go Yeonjun gave a slight nod. Hello. Screech. The usher machine moved. Its 8 needle-like legs raised into the air, then slowly settled around its body in a neat formation. The machine lifted its head and respectfully shone a gaslight near Go Yeonjun's feet. It worked. Go Yeonjun swallowed hard. The candle's blessing was successfully working for her, the blessing to impersonate an honorable being. The first card determines the purpose of the effect, the second dictates the method, and the third reveals its essence. When combined properly, it creates a deception targeting something honorable to hinder others. This ability is likely related to impersonation or trickery. Right now, Go Yeonjun was impersonating the most appropriate honorable being for this scenario, the most favorable target for the usher machine. A guest who had paid in full, in the calmest tone she could muster, Go Yeonjun addressed the usher machine. If your answer is no, please remain still. If it is yes, nod your head. Silence. Did guests who finished viewing the exhibition on this fourth floor go upstairs? Did guests who finished viewing the exhibition on this fourth floor go downstairs? Nod. It worked. Overwhelmed with relief, the candle bearer barely managed to conclude the interaction. Thank you. I'll continue enjoying the exhibition now. The usher machine remained quietly in place as the 3 within the candle's radius left. As they rounded the corner, Go Yeonjun couldn't help but exclaim. It worked. Move slowly. The candle will burn for about 2 hours, so it's critical not to let it go out midway. Yes. And then the process repeated. Did guests who finished viewing the exhibition on this third floor go downstairs? Nod. Thank you. It worked again. The 3 new hires were now walking with cautious but hopeful steps, fueled by the thrill of escape. If this kept up, either the first or second floor. The same thought occurred to everyone. Go Yeonjun bit her tongue to keep her excitement in check. Stay calm, stay calm. If she were to drop the candle, it would all be over. To avoid escaping with her eyes, tongue, or limbs taken, she needed to remain composed. As she took a careful step forward, grab! Something seized her foot. Go Yeonjun froze and looked down. There was a human being, his eyes replaced with telescopic lenses, crawling desperately on the floor and clutching at her pants leg. Gorel, Miss Gorel. Take me with you. It was our squad's leader, Go Yeonjun's superior. I looked at the person who had stopped ahead of me. I knew why. Someone was clinging desperately to the leg of the person ahead, shouting, Ms. Gorel, if you get me out of here, I'll make equipment for you. The kind only a section chief can access. Right away too, okay. So Go Yeonjun is from the R Squad. Seems like this was R Squad's section chief. But for someone supposedly in charge of a squad in the field exploration team, he looked utterly pathetic. His limbs weren't taken as payment but seemed completely broken, leaving him unable to stand. Did infighting break out? If he were a proper squad leader, he should have been able to hold out with his equipment and items while moving stealthily. His current state made it almost certain that hadn't happened. He must be on the verge of death. And in this desperate moment, seeing a rookie from his squad wielding a remarkable item, he had lunged forward, recognizing his last lifeline. "Ms. Gorel, that's an item, isn't it? Woo, it looks great. Take me with you, please, okay?" Whoa, not even scared, huh? Babbling away. Beek Sahian muttered under his breath. Then he turned to Go Yeonjun and said, "Let's see if the monster machines hear him. Not like he's in any condition to run away anyway." "Huh, what kind of nonsense is that?" Our squad's leader, who had been begging to Go Yeonjun, turned to look at Beek Sahian. The gleam of his telescopic lenses flickered. Which squad are you a rookie from?" "Oh, right. It doesn't matter. What matters is getting out of here. But look, the item my squad's rookie is using, it's shaped like a candle. A consumable, huh?" "FL flame-based. Yeah, defensive item, right?" "Right, yeah, that must be it. So then, what if I shake it like this and put the flame out?" "Lovely." Go Yeonjun, who nearly stumbled, quickly steadied the candle in her grip. "This lunatic." I was about to summon my special equipment to use a third hand to pry him off, but the squad leader clung to Go Yeonjun's leg again. "Do you think even in this state, no less than a rookie, take me with you?" "You left me behind, squad leader," Go Yeonjun muttered in an eerily quiet voice. "When the machines came, you pushed me aside and ran." I thought Go Yeonjun hadn't met any teammates and had been wandering alone, because the team had split up when they entered. So that's why she was by herself. "No, I did what I could. I couldn't die trying to save a rookie, so I left you behind. But now you can take me with you. If the conditions allow, humans should act humanely." The squad leader screamed desperately, clutching at her. Tears didn't even flow from the lens-replaced eyes. "If you don't take me with you, it's murder. Murder, just try leaving me behind. I'll destroy that item somehow. I'll." Thud. SRRRRK. Our squad's leader's body went limp and collapsed sideways. Beek Sahian retracted his left foot, which had just struck the squad leader in the temple. "And me too." I recalled the third hand back into the glove, which struck the back of the R Squad's leader's head. "He's still breathing, right?" I hadn't meant for both of us to hit him, but here we were. At least the situation seemed to have settled. I glanced down at the disheveled middle-aged office worker sprawled on the floor. Well, he does have experience in field exploration. He had crafted a balance of pleas that could tug at a rookie's heartstrings and threats that could instill fear. A manipulative mix. Go Yeonjun still held the candle steady, but her trembling gaze betrayed how shaken she was by the pitiful state of her superior. Beek Sahian casually remarked, "Now we just take his head and leave, right?" "What?" "No, we can't. He's going to die anyway. It'd make it easier for him and give us spare payments for a plan B. There's literally no downside. Think of Ms. Gorel's mental state if we decapitate someone she knows. It's hard to maintain composure after killing someone you're familiar with." As Beek Sahian and I spoke on either side, Go Yeonjun's face grew increasingly pale. "This is ridiculous. No, I can't." "What are you talking about? People can do anything to survive. Of course it's possible." "No, it's not. Don't listen to him, Ms. Gorel." "Gorel." "Wait. I'll just do this." Go Yeonjun tightened her grip on the candle, then kicked the squad leader toward a shadowy sofa corner. His body slid into the dim recess. She exhaled deeply. "This way, the machines won't spot him immediately. Let's go before the candle burns out." I nodded. Beeksahian, however, scowled. Making things complicated. He's going to die anyway. If you owe your life to someone kind, you should stop saying things like that, don't you think? Go Yeonjun sighed deeply. Still, thank you, both of you. I almost got caught up in that. It's nothing. Surprisingly, Beeksahian didn't say another word. I thought he'd make a snide comment or demand something in return, but he didn't. Let's go. Yes. We descended the stairs once more. The disruption and the incident were behind us. The end was in sight, on the second floor. Go Yeonjun, now accustomed to the process, posed her question to the usher machine. Have guests who finished viewing the exhibition on this floor gone downstairs? Nod. It was over. This essentially provided the answer they were looking for. If the exit is on the ground floor and below the second floor, the only possibility left was the first floor. Then, if we just go to the first floor and ask for the location of the entrance. Let's hurry. Yes. For the first time, Go Yeonjun and Beeksahian were in complete agreement. So the entrance really is on the first floor, just like modern logic would suggest. What a coincidence that everything lined up this way. A faint sense of exhaustion crept in at the thought of how roundabout their journey had been, but the excitement of finally finding the exit outweighed it. I hastened my pace. All that remained was to pinpoint the entrance and relay the information to my superiors waiting on the terrace. Oh dear, is your exhibition tour over already? That's a shame. It seems like you've barely seen 5 of the halls. Ho ho, keep looking, and you might lose your eyes, nose, or mouth. You might faint before then, too. Even now, the 3 of us are sticking together under the candlelight to survive. I tapped the pocket where I kept Braun, as if soothing him, and continued walking. Go Yeonjun, carrying the candle, walked with renewed confidence. That determination didn't falter, even when she faced the usher machine on the first floor. Her desire to leave seemed to overpower any lingering fear. Hello. Once again, the machine, influenced by the candle, responded politely. Taking a deep breath, Go Yeonjun made a firm request. Please guide us to the entrance. But silence. The machine remained motionless. No response. In no way. With a face turning ashen, Go Yeonjun glanced nervously at the candle, as if worried it had lost its power. The flame flickered steadily, still shining brightly. After checking it a few more times, she spoke again in a trembling voice. Please guide us to the entrance. Again silence. The atmosphere dropped to a glacial temperature. We're fucked. I broke the silence. Miss Goro. Why yes. Ask it like this. I recited a familiar phrase, and Go Yeonjun's expression darkened as she repeated it. Have guests who finished viewing the exhibition on this first floor gone downstairs? If yes, please nod. Nod. The usher machine's answers conflicted. Why? Go Yeonjun swallowed hard. But the usher machine on the basement floor clearly said people went up. That's correct. A chill ran down my spine. What the hell is going on? The statements didn't add up. In the basement, it said to go up, yet on the ground floor, it said to go down. Even if there were multiple exits nearby, this blatant contradiction made no sense. That does explain why so few survivors are mentioned in despite the exit being obviously on the first floor. Instead of wasting time repeating the same question, let's just go to the basement and ask directly. We still have candlelight left, so let's not waste it. La. Urged by Beeksahian, we started looking for the stairs to the basement. The path leading down felt unnaturally long and heavy. And the result? Nod. They said to go up, damn it. The same response as before. According to the usher machine, visitors who finished viewing the exhibition on the basement floor had indeed gone upstairs. Then, even Beek Sahian fell silent. Everyone's thoughts were tangled. Excuse me. Go Yeonjun lowered her head. Do you think maybe there isn't an exit at all? This could just be a place that tricks and torments people, giving them false hope to make their suffering worse. There are so many ghost stories like that. That was true. But not this time. No, there's definitely an exit. I wasn't saying this just because I had read the... Do you remember, before coming in here, we were given a brief manual. Though the information had been corrupted and turned into an exhibition invitation, it still applied. An exit record exists because someone succeeded in escaping. That's how this became a registered darkness under Daydream Inc. Ah. Go Yeonjun raised her head. You're right, that makes sense. Taking a deep breath, she spoke again, her voice steadier. I'm sorry. In times like this, it's important not to get lost in emotion. There must be a solution. Yes. It might look like a contradiction, but there was something we hadn't figured out yet. Just as we were deep in thought. Hey. Beek Sahian spoke, looking at me with a peculiar expression. Your doll. Braun. Yeah, what does Braun say? I'm waiting for my brilliant friend's answer. Of course, that wasn't because Beek Sahian thought Braun could actually speak. He probably asked because he thought I was a lunatic for talking to a little plushie. I get it, you want some unconventional ideas. I deliberately stared at Beek Sahian before responding. How would a doll talk? Think before you speak, yeah. Beek Sahian clenched his fist tightly. But throwing out ideas like this isn't a bad thought. Ms. Goral, do you have any ideas? As positively as possible, let's assume there's definitely an exit nearby. Then a secret space, maybe. Go Yeonjun furrowed her brow. Like how attics are sometimes above the top floor, maybe there's another space between the basement and the ground floors. A parking lot, perhaps. There's no record of such a secret space in this exhibition hall, but it's still a possibility. After all, experiencing something firsthand is different from reading about it. Sometimes, even with prior knowledge, things don't match up perfectly. We didn't know the window was actually a terrace door, after all. But I felt the exit would be in a more obvious location. Conceptually, it's strange for an official pathway to be in a secret space. So the exit likely exists in plain sight, but we're failing to notice it due to biases, thought patterns, or cultural factors. Wait a moment. And Mr. Roe dear. I stood up abruptly. Beek Sahian looked at me in surprise, and Go Yeonjun, unable to turn around due to the candle's effect, glanced downward anxiously. Do you have enough stamina to go up and down the stairs a few more times? What? I think so. Then let's move. I got to my feet. We need to climb to the top floor. We returned to the stairs. We just need to climb, right? Yes. I began climbing, but instead of just walking until the next floor appeared, I started counting. 1 floor. 2 floors. 3 floors. We kept climbing until the stairs simply stopped. Huff. Gasp. I lifted my head. This is the top. We had reached the very top floor of this massive mansion. On our way up, we encountered usher machines 3 times. Each time, Go Yeonjun asked the machines questions, but the answers were always the same. By now, the two of them must have been wondering, why are we climbing when the machines say to go down? The answer lay here on this top floor. Ms. Goral, how many floors do you think we've climbed? What will he? Then wait, if I counted correctly. 6 floors, Beeksahian said. This is the 6th floor, not the 7th. Exactly. But this mansion was supposed to have 7 floors. This historic mansion is composed of 7 floors above ground and 7,221 floors below ground. This contradicted Braun's explanation. But Braun, being a good friend, wouldn't lie. So if everything is true, then I get it now. Did you intentionally lie about the 7th floor? Beeksahian started, but I interrupted. Ms. Gorel, do you know this? Hey. There were many ghost stories like this. Situations where what seemed logical and clear to one person becomes completely irrational for another due to cultural or environmental differences. It's a kind of ghost story that thrives on the unease created by these disparities. Like when I once identified a clown painting, because I understood the difference between a clown and a Pierrot in that previous darkness exploration. How floors are counted depends on cultural norms. In countries like the US or South Korea, and East Asian countries in general, floor numbering starts from the first floor. However, in other cultural contexts, it works differently. That explains why the stairs from the ground floor to the basement seemed unnaturally long. It wasn't just perception. They start counting from the ground floor, or floor 0. The ground floor, as it's often called. So this mansion does have 7 floors above ground from GF, or 0F, to 6F. I looked down the stairs. Now we just need to go back to 1F and ask how to find the way to 0F. And that's exactly what we did. Please guide us to the path leading to. On the first floor, following the path led by the usher machine on 1F, we walked forward and, surprisingly, found a staircase of a completely different design on the opposite side of the main exhibition hall. A massive double spiral staircase. If we descended one of the spirals, we could, of course, end up in the basement exhibition hall, where the bronze glow transitions into brass, just like before. But there was another option. We could stop midway and choose to open a massive door. And so I opened that door. Creak. A grand, elegant space bathed in silver light unfolded before us. It wasn't an exhibition hall. It was the lobby. A floor functioning purely as a lobby, without any exhibits, and therefore not connected to the usual staircases for exhibition halls. This was the elusive 0F. We had finally entered this floor through its most proper passageway. And right in front of us was a stained glass-style glass door. The main entrance. Though the light pouring through obscured the view of the outside, it was unmistakable. We had found the exit at last. We're saved. Hey! Shouts of relief and deep sighs of exhaustion filled the lobby. And then cheers of joy. Mr. Rowe, dear, your deduction was right. It was right again. Wow, let's get out of here immediately. Truly, I wanted nothing more than to scream and run out in celebration. But I need to find my superiors and leave with them. Then you'll need the candle, won't you? Go Yeonjun, eyeing the dwindling candle wax, quickly made a determined decision. Let's go together and get them quickly. Yes, thank you. Truly, thank you so much. Wandering this place alone while searching for my fellow rookies had already drained me completely. Go Yeonjun's choice was exactly what I expected of her character. As for Beeksahian, well, his decision was no surprise either. Without hesitation, he made a beeline for the door. Do as you like, I'm outta here. Sure, whatever. I watched Beeksahian with an unimpressed look. I'd better observe what happens when someone uses the door, what effects it has, and how it reacts. But then Beeksahian hesitated. Then, and slowly stepped away from the entrance. Why? I thought you were leaving. I'll let someone else go first. Good grief. It'd be easier for everyone if he just left. I gave him a slightly disappointed glance and turned my attention elsewhere. Ha ha ha, this is quite the amusing situation, Mr. Roe dear. I don't find it amusing, but it's comforting to know that someone does. So now you're heading off to inform your remarkably ordinary superiors about the location of the exit. Exactly. Though remarkably ordinary aren't exactly the words I'd use for them. How many times have I scoured this mansion by now? My legs were ready to give out, but I needed to move quickly. Wait a moment. Are your legs hurting, my friend? Oh, then it's time for me to introduce my newest ability. Huh? A new ability? Yes. Thanks to the splendid bath you gifted me, my dear friend, I've rejuvenated myself. Allow me to demonstrate my strength. Now take me out of your pocket. His tone was oddly grandiose, yet carried a subtle air of gratitude. I followed his instructions and pulled the stuffed doll from my pocket. Mr. Roe dear, please wait a moment. Precisely, you won't need to wait long. A true performer is always prepared to impress like this. Snap! A dull snapping sound echoed from the doll's fingerless hands. And then I felt something open within me, as if my chest and mouth had been unlocked. A sense of resonance. It was as though a vast space had formed within me. Why your voice? I fell silent. The vibration of my vocal cords reverberated throughout the entire lobby. Not bad. In my show, no guest needs to raise their voice. Every word will be comfortably and clearly heard by the audience and viewers. That's a mic. Ah, what a wonderfully mainstream way to put it. Mr. Roe dear, my dear friend, your words will now reach everyone clearly, as long as they're in the same studio. In this case, the same floor, if you will. Unbelievable. He had actually become more capable. You flatter me. I was amazed. Though, unfortunately, this ability doesn't seem very suitable for the current situation. Pardon. I only needed to call the superiors waiting in the terrace room. If everyone on this floor could hear me instead. Friend. Wait. Is that really a bad thing? Supervisor Park Min-seong suppressed a sigh as he sat down next to the sofa in the terrace room where he had been hiding. This is taking too long. It had been over 70 minutes since Kim Solium went downstairs with his fellow new hires. Though Solium had mentioned that this amount of time might be needed, he had also left a caveat about what to do if neither he nor the others returned within 2 hours. Don't bother waiting or looking for me. In other words, if things went south, they should just leave him behind. I should have just gone with him. Park Min-seong stifled another sigh. Even though Daydream Inc. thrived on a survival of the fittest philosophy, there were still some squads in the field exploration team with strong camaraderie, and D-Squad happened to be one of them. Assistant manager Yoon Hage, too, was sitting on the sofa, visibly unsettled as she revised a makeshift map of this darkness. Every now and then, she sighed deeply. I was hoping Roe would settle into our squad even after the rookie period ends. For now, though, making it out of here alive took priority. Feeling slightly glum, Park Min-seong still found some reassurance in one thing. Squad leader Lee Jae-hyun approved this, after all. That meant the item was likely as reliable as it seemed. Min-seong had no idea where the rookie had managed to get it, but occasionally there were such cases, people who joined the company after being repeatedly caught up in urban legends or ghost stories. Is he a case like that? Perhaps it was more accurate to call it bad luck. Even in the field exploration team, It was rare for rookies to be deployed into dangerous darknesses like this, maybe once a year if that. Thinking about Kim Solium, who had gone from one high-risk mission, like the theme park, to another, almost brought tears to Min Seong's eyes. At least he's been earning points. Park Min Seong suppressed another sigh and looked toward the terrace door. There stood a figure, completely unbothered, in stark contrast to Min Seong's restless thoughts. Squad leader Lee Jae-hyun. Without the slightest movement, he remained stationed right by the terrace door. He was likely measuring the passage of time with an unnervingly precise internal clock. Once the countdown ended, he would undoubtedly rise and act according to plan, without hesitation. Min Seong could only hope that the plan didn't involve excluding Kim Solium from the escape attempt due to a lack of survival prospects. No, before that, I just hope Ro comes back. Outside, apart from the occasional scream, there was an unsettling quiet. No footsteps yet. If Ro had finished his task, surely the sound of 3 sets of calm footsteps would be the first thing they heard. "Can you hear me?" Park Min Seong leapt to his feet. Next to him, Assistant Manager Yoon Hage reflexively did the same. "This is an announcement regarding the escape route. There isn't enough time to repeat myself, so please pay attention." It was the voice of the rookie who D-Squad had been waiting for, Kim Solium. "The exit is at 0F. Let me repeat. The exit is at 0F. You need to descend the stairs until the bronze glow transitions into brass." It was undoubtedly Ro's voice. Given how extraordinary this rookie had proven to be, it wasn't even surprising if he had found a clever way to broadcast an announcement. But what if it wasn't him? What if something not human was merely imitating Kim Solium? The 2 members of D-Squad exchanged a glance, silently leaving the final decision to the person best equipped to handle this. Their squad leader, who had a reputation for unerring judgment in these situations. Lee Jae-hyun stood by the terrace door, having clearly heard the announcement. He stared blankly into space as if deep in thought. "You must use the spiral staircase." After a moment of contemplation, he made his decision. "Move out." That concludes the announcement. I finally finished repeating the message for the 6th time, from the 1st to the 6th floor. That should cover all the surface levels. I debated whether to focus only on D-Squad, stationed on the 1st floor, but Ms. Gorel had been adamant. "Why, you mean you can do that? Then we have to save as many people as we can." It was such a statement befitting someone in the medical field. Now, however, it was up to everyone's individual judgment. I deliberately avoided introducing myself or mentioning the company, but I did include a few terms familiar to the field exploration team. Even so, there might be people too suspicious to act. If they encountered an usher machine on the stairs by chance, there was nothing I could do about that either. Still, losing a body part or two was still better than dying here as a human grub. It also helped spread out the machines that might head toward D-Squad. I cleared my throat. Braun seemed to have retracted his energy, as the strange resonance in my throat and lungs faded away. "Thanks. Gratitude is always music to my ears." Braun sounded slightly tired but still cheerful. Meanwhile, from the side, a voice filled with irritation broke the moment of appreciation. "Why are you wasting points? The more people escape, the fewer points we get individually." Here we go again with this guy's twisted logic. And worse, it's an ignorant statement. Are you stupid? Do you think there aren't veteran employees who will find the exit on their own without our help, even if a rookie like you escapes? There are employees who are so well equipped with items and specialized gear, or just naturally talented, that they'll escape without assistance. Even according to the 7 survivors escaping was already guaranteed, so the individual point distribution wouldn't have been above 1/8 regardless of whether I did this or not. In short, trying to cash in on points from this ghost story wasn't worth it. But instead of explaining all this, I simply smiled faintly. This is the kind of situation where making a good impression ensures work becomes more enjoyable later. Plus, I get to observe different reactions. Then, Beek Sahian turned his head with an exasperated look. Do you even have a conscience? If he were to reflect on his previous statement, he'd realize that I should be giving him that exact reaction. What a sociopath in this twisted ghost story world. Still worried that Ms. Goral might have been unsettled, I called out to her. Ms. Goral. Then, Ms. Goral. Wait, did you just call me? No way. I think my hearing is starting to go just a bit. I looked at her ear, hidden beneath her hair, where the opening was now absent. Instead, there was a neatly stitched, hollow space. Whatever device had been rented to her as a hearing aid was starting to fail. And in such a short time, too. Of all moments. But I can still hear, somewhat. And since there's still plenty of the candle left, I think we can keep moving carefully. Yes. To ensure clearer communication, I gently tapped Ms. Goral on the shoulder. She flinched slightly, but then resolutely resumed her descent down the stairs. Beek Sahian quickly spoke up. I should carry the candle, hand it over to me. And what happens if Ms. Goral accidentally turns around because of that? Then, Beek Sahian fell silent. We began descending the 6 flights of stairs, tense and alert. Step, step. Only the sound of our footsteps filled the stairwell. It didn't seem like anyone who had heard my broadcast had come out yet. Excuse me, Ms. Goral called out. Yes. Then, could she not hear me? Excuse me, are you there? I softly tapped her back. Reluctantly, Beek Sahian also gave her shoulder a couple of light pats. Ah, thank you. Ms. Goral, reassured, gripped the candle tightly with both hands and continued descending the stairs. Step, step. The silence stretched on, feeling almost eternal, until we finally reached the first floor. Creak. The sound of usher machines echoed from all around, moving along their paths. One of them passed right by us, dragging a dead human husk along the ground. We'll head to the spiral staircase now. Yes. Ms. Goral raised her voice. She probably couldn't tell how loud she was speaking anymore due to her deteriorating hearing. It's fine, we're almost there. To react quickly, I kept my ears sharp, walking cautiously but steadily. It wasn't the wrong approach. But the problem with dangers like these is that they sometimes have nothing to do with how prepared you are. For instance, you could be focused on listening for threats, only for an entirely unrelated obstacle to appear. I noticed that the person in front of me had disappeared from view. Looking down, I saw Ms. Goral's figure falling. At her feet, something shiny was sliding across the ground. A telescopic lens. It had fallen off the corpse the usher machine was dragging, an invisible rental item rolling at just the wrong moment into her path. Thud. I reached out and caught Ms. Goral. But as her arm hit the ground, the candle flew out of her grasp. No. I reflexively caught the candle and threw it toward Beek Sahian. But it was too late. The candle went out. Then, gasp. The usher machine turned to face us. Whoosh. A metallic blade flew toward us. Eek. I rolled to the side. A sharp gasp came from nearby. The usher machine, having set down the corpse it was carrying, raised its gas lamp to illuminate us. It must have confirmed that all of us were behind on our payments. Reevaluating its priorities, the needle-like appendages mounted on the machine's abdomen flew toward us once again. its target the nearest eye. Mr. Roe dear. A familiar voice. Duck. Instinctively, I pushed the heads of my two teammates down and threw myself to the floor. Bang! A deafening metallic clash, and a shower of sparks erupted above our heads. It was Section Chief Lee Jahian. The impossibly strong field exploration team member had ruthlessly deflected the usher machine's needle. Ting! The broken tip of the needle flew through the air and embedded itself in the corridor wall. The usher machine twisted its joints, emitting a strange grinding noise. What madness! That thing can break. Lee Jahian withdrew his gloved hand. Judging by the force involved, it wouldn't have been surprising if he had fractured something himself. Clutched in his hand like a set of brass knuckles was something metallic. The terrace doorknob. An alarm blared in my mind. That item. Exhibition property damage. All disruptions, theft, or property damage occurring within the exhibition hall are subject to immediate action by ushers, with corresponding fines collected. He even broke an usher machine. Even if the exhibition treated this as a civil issue and only demanded an apology and compensation fees instead of invoking criminal charges. One thing was certain. The usher machines would now treat this as their top priority. And it wasn't just the one machine in front of us. All the usher machines in this zone would react the same way. Squad leader. Yes. Run. I bolted. GRREAC, GRRRK, JIJIJIK, BZZZZZT, GRRK, SCRECH. The sound of the damaged usher machine, moving more aggressively than ever, filled the air. Beside me, I could hear my squadmates running like mad. As for the chief lizard, wait, hold on. Squad leader. Yes. Stop fighting and just run. No matter how ridiculously strong you are, there's no way you can destroy every usher machine here. Just imagining the chaos spreading further was overwhelming. Even the dark exploration records had those sections censored. I didn't even want to consider how such events might manifest in real life. Screech. Fuck. We ran straight into another usher machine, blocking the path to the staircase. No, two more. Urg. I threw myself through the descending needles, feeling a sharp pain shoot through my arm. Even as I ran, my instincts screamed the truth. I'm going to get caught. With human limitations, it was impossible to avoid this. We would be captured and fined before reaching. A cold chill ran down my back. Is there anything I can do? My breath was ragged. Oxygen deprived, my thoughts became sluggish, giving way to resignation. Maybe I've lasted long enough. My dulled senses split the surrounding sounds into layers. The echo of footsteps rumbled in my ears, as if dozens of people were running. No, wait. It hit me. It wasn't just that the footsteps sounded like many. There actually were more people now. Instead of two, there were at least 10 or more sets of footsteps. Mr. Roe dear, these must be the folks who took advantage of your excellent broadcast to seize the opportunity. They were field exploration team members. Spectators who had been watching the situation unfold now seemed to be using the chaos as cover to approach the spiral staircase. This unexpected development had an unintended effect. The usher machines became confused, recalculating priorities based on the importance of tasks and proximity to the various individuals. Everywhere, unpaid participants were breaking into sprints, distracting the machines. Hurry up. Taking advantage of the brief window, we clenched our teeth and launched ourselves toward the staircase. Screech. We ran like mad. The unsettling sounds of the machines grew closer behind us. The staircase ended, and a silvery hall spread out before us. The lobby and the front door. Go! Assistant Manager Yoon Hage and Supervisor Park Min-seong were holding the doors open. We sprinted with everything we had. As I stepped onto the threshold of the main entrance, my superiors dove through the exit. I followed, nearly collapsing through the doorway. Breathless, I ran until the glowing doorway of light enveloped me. Who? When I opened my eyes, I saw a clean ceiling lined with fluorescent lights. A modern hallway of moderate width. The corridor on the 31st floor of the company, just outside the meeting room. We'd escaped. I collapsed onto the floor. I could hear the sound of people rushing out from the conference room, but I had no mental energy or strength left to care. Every ounce of strength had been wrung from my body as I drifted into a dazed state. An alarm rang out. Dark Exploration Records Real Merch Box. New merch unlocked. The meeting room was in chaos. 17 people have reportedly returned alive. 17. Are you sure about that number? Could it be a counting error? Yes, oh, the count just went up to 20. Members of the field exploration team, deployed earlier in the day into a high-risk darkness, had suddenly returned in droves. This unexpected turn of events completely paralyzed any immediate response. They said all the case studies were done and that they'd escape in small, sequential groups. What on earth is this? The room was filled with a cacophony of voices, speculations about whether the returning employees were really the ones who had entered, calls for lab testing to confirm their identities, and other theories about what might have gone wrong with their predictions. But as the initial shock faded, a subtle thought began to form in the minds of some, the thrilling possibility of success. Could this result be a remarkable breakthrough? For a few of the key players who had backed this endeavor, similar thoughts emerged. If this survival rate is real, it would mean their bold and calculated investment had paid off. The unexpectedly high success rate was so surprising that it left them momentarily dazed. Should we start shaping public opinion about this achievement? Wait, I should highlight my contributions while this is fresh. However, all the confusion, excitement, and self-congratulations were abruptly extinguished by one critical piece of news. It's B-Class. The first survivor's Dream Essence Collector had been evaluated, and the liquid inside was rated B-Class. In other words, the dream of a high survival rate A-Class darkness had vanished. The atmosphere in the meeting room deflated in an instant, sinking into disappointment. Of course, it's too good to be true. Wasn't this jinx the moment people started hyping it as A-Class? Still, hey, isn't a B-Class darkness with this kind of survival rate pretty rare? What do you think, Section Chief Quack? Quack Yiking, a researcher hurriedly called in, gave a faint smile. Indeed, Tilda, it's an impressive result. No, it wasn't just impressive, it was staggering. Did these people even understand the survival rates associated with each grade? They didn't seem to grasp how extraordinary this situation was. That's why none of them were foaming at the mouth, eager to analyze the exploration data right away. Wow, Tilda, incredible. Seeing them exchange platitudes and self-consoling remarks like, "We just had bad luck," or "Our judgment was still correct," amused Quack Yiking. Did they really think this was a situation that warranted consolation? Do these people have any sense of reality at all? The average civilian survival rate for B-Class darknesses was below 2%. Deploying a large number of employees into such a situation without proper manuals or preparation had been a reckless gamble. And now, instead of marveling at the mind-boggling results, they were busy oscillating between disappointment and self-praise. This, despite the fact that the expert consultation, they relied on had been nothing more than hastily adopted advice from a single research manager who catered to their biases. The reason for this recklessness was obvious: because they wanted to do it. While Quack Yiking was personally thrilled at the prospect of analyzing such fascinating results, he found it astonishing that the company managed to function at all with higher-ups like these in its development division. Quack felt a twinge of regret. The longer this company survived, the more opportunities he'd have to study these captivating paranormal phenomena. But the way the so-called Innovation Development Strategy Office operated posed a clear risk to the company's future. Sure, family-owned companies often lacked structure, but this was a mess. I'd heard rumors, but could it really be that everyone close to the owner is like this? Of course, not everyone in the room was like that. Quack Yiking's eyes darted briefly to someone seated a bit apart from the rest. This individual hadn't been present at the last meeting. That's one of Director Ho's people. That person had shown up under the pretext of having a passing interest in this agenda item and asked to join briefly. Even though the development department's higher-ups were known to meddle in the field exploration team's affairs, this was still unusual. What stood out even more was how openly the individual was receiving updates about the situation via remote communication with their team. Apparently, one employee played a major role in the large-scale escape. Pardon. The air in the room shifted, not toward eagerness but to apprehension and tension. But the next statement left everyone in shock. It was a new hire. He reportedly broadcasted the escape method to all the employees. We need to investigate the details of how he managed it. Some people are already asking questions about it. It was Director Ho. The strategy office's people exchanged glances, muttering half-heartedly. Ah, yes, we'll transmit the detailed exploration report as soon as it's available. That's right. Usually, after field exploration, people are so out of it they babble nonsense for a while. Still, they wouldn't just make up something out of thin air, would they? Well, which brings us to the matter at hand. The representative from Director Ho's side interrupted the conversation. They're curious about what decision the Innovation Development Strategy Division will make. Regarding the employee's reward, that is. Congratulations, Supervisor Kim. What? I almost choked on my iced Americano while lying on a cot in the medical bay. After hearing the heartwarming words, "Our Macne won, you worked hard, so just rest," I had undergone a basic physical examination and had been dozing off for hours. I thought I'd only hear more about this exploration when I came to work tomorrow. Supervisor. Oh, you heard me right, Supervisor Kim. Assistant Manager Yoon Hae grinned. You're getting promoted. Fastest record in the history of the company's field exploration team. Note S. 1 Macne equals youngest/newest member, right arrow curving left. Honestly, I knew this would happen. Guess our row won't need to speak formally to me anymore. Hey, if we wait until you're employed for 6 months here, you and I'll be able to talk on equal terms too, huh? What is this? This isn't some mom-and-pop store. How is someone getting promoted to assistant manager after just a couple of months? This has to be an internal rumor, right? I tried asking politely, but the answer was firm. No, you absolutely deserve it. Do you know how many employees you saved this time? Assistant Manager Yoon Hae crossed her arms. 26 people, including yourself. Row of those, 17 escaped directly after hearing your broadcast. When you count the ones who came out late after confirming others were escaping, it's safe to say you saved them all. She added that even some civilian participants had made it out. Do you realize how rare a record like this is? It's something that might happen once every few years. Honestly, a promotion doesn't feel enough. Exactly. Let's dig into this after the squad leader comes back from the meeting tomorrow. They're bound to give you something extra. Their excitement on my behalf was heartwarming, but I was still in shock. A promotion. A promotion at a major corporation after just 60 days of work. My modern heart raced with unease. Brace yourself. Special promotions are announced quickly. And indeed, it was true. The very next day, I saw the promotion notice on the company intranet. Special promotion announcement. Sure enough, the name Kim Solium was listed there. The boo was. My phone vibrated incessantly. Apparently, congratulatory messages were pouring in. Wait a second. This feels like they're handling this quickly to minimize internal resistance. The field exploration team is still made up of humans. Naturally, if you save someone's life, they feel a sense of gratitude or emotional impact. In that sense, the 35 people I'd helped would likely feel at least some level of appreciation toward me, which would reduce opposition to the promotion. It was clear from the timing of the announcement that they wanted to capitalize on that goodwill. No, but why? Why were they pushing my promotion so aggressively? How much more do they plan to wring out of me? Wasn't it enough that I was already dealing with newly registered ghost stories without manuals? As the thought of increasingly harrowing assignments loomed over me, I reached out to an elite senior from another squad. Are you stupid? Not getting promoted would have been stranger. Even the manual revision officer came looking for you after hearing about your performance. With results like that, of course you'd attract attention from higher-ups. Jin Nassau, A-Squad's assistant manager, clicked her tongue. If only we'd grabbed you when we had an opening in our squad. Ugh, what a waste. Anyway, congratulations. It was bound to happen. Thank you, I guess. I hung up, feeling strangely hollow, and leaned back in my office chair, trying to process everything. Right. No point in denying it. I had reached this stage. Am I an elite employee? A notable figure destined to be listed in the kind of character that certain hardcore creators of the lore might want to kill off just to maintain the gritty atmosphere of the universe, but who ends up sticking around because of growing popularity on video platforms like WeTube. Maybe. Is this what people call a Mary Sue character? How did it come to this? Then again, maybe it was inevitable. To be honest, having read through the entire was basically a cheat. I did my best to keep it subtle, given the life-or-death circumstances. But here's the real kicker. What happens if they figure out I'm actually a coward? Hopping this would just end with a reassignment to the round-off team was overly optimistic. There was no telling how far the repercussions might spread. If someone started asking, how did someone so cowardly get such good results? Then what's next for me were interrogations and experiments. I could already picture a future where I'd be dragged off to the research team the moment they discovered I was from a parallel dimension. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. And no, that can never happen. I stood up, grabbed some coffee, and took a lap around the break room. The caffeine cleared my head a little. Right. If I can't avoid it, I just need to maximize my survival rate in this place. If I was already under scrutiny, the best way to avoid unnecessary attention might be to keep delivering performances that justified it. I need to make them believe I'm, naturally, this competent and exceptional. It's not like there aren't employees like that. Take squad leader Lizard or assistant manager Butterfly Mask, for example. They're categorized as standouts, and that's it. Even if it meant a higher probability of being assigned to more dangerous ghost stories, well, maybe it wasn't all bad. If I was treated as high-value personnel, I might be sent to fewer outright lethal missions. And I could rack up points faster too. The more I thought about it, the more it seemed like a reasonable strategy to escape this world quickly. But to achieve that, there was a critical first step. I need to do some serious work on my character build. I had to come across as a competent and exceptional unit, naturally enough to avoid suspicion. Like when I'd acted like a lunatic in front of Beak Sahian, walking the line carefully. And for that, I need more cards to play into this character. Then I looked up. Hovering above me was something that had been there ever since escaping the exhibition hall. Dark Exploration Records Real Merch Box. New merch unlocked. It was one of the merch I'd purchased at the pop-up store. I'd been putting off opening it, waiting until I felt rested and my judgment was clear. It was time. I had no idea what requirement I had fulfilled in the exhibition to unlock it, but I reached for the glowing black notepad and lightly touched it, stretching as I did. Click. A clear sound accompanied the small, lightweight object, still in its plastic packaging, as it fell into my hand. Then, shining silver, it was shaped like a small shield with the word charge, embossed in elegant calligraphy. It's a badge. I understood immediately. The condition I'd fulfilled was good deeds. == Dark Exploration Records / Supernatural Disaster Management Bureau / items. Silver Heart. Wearers earn the reverence of others proportional to their cumulative altruistic actions. Strongly influenced by the creator's belief that it is socially most efficient for altruistic individuals to gain power. Item usage qualification, S. Must have saved 12 or more lives in a supernatural disaster. == This so-called badge of character. It was an item produced and distributed by the Disaster Management Bureau. It had exploded in popularity after a legendary performance in the exploration records of a sealed ghost story involving a train explosion. Its unique properties were part of what made it stand out. As the description suggests, it was an item exclusively for good people. It allowed altruists to wield influence within a group. The fact that I now qualify for this is overwhelming. It felt like too much responsibility. While this item was generally used in heartwarming ways, there was that one time it led to a catastrophic disaster of utterly insane proportions. That's how it always goes with creepypasta universes. Whenever enough goodwill accumulates, something horrifying inevitably slips in to raise the stakes. In the past, there were records of this badge being distributed to exceptionally kind civilians, but over time, it became strictly regulated and only loaned to government employees under tight rules. I remember watching the wiki updates happen in real time. What does this mean? It means that at this point, no one would ever predict a Daydream Inc. employee using the Silver Heart, which is why I can actually use it. I'm not sure how many more good deeds I'll manage with everything I've got on my plate, but at least I should benefit from the badge's base effect, right? If it gives my colleagues the impression of, this person's pretty remarkable, it'll make it much easier to come across as a capable employee. All right, let's make good use of this. Apparently, the universe doesn't just want me dead. I carefully tucked the Silver Heart badge into my pocket and left the break room with a lighter heart. As soon as I stepped out, I was greeted with news of additional rewards for the recent exploration. It's not officially announced yet, but they're giving you a bonus reward too. Man, it's a shame you're surprised about something you so obviously deserve. Exactly. Do they think B-class zones are playgrounds for kids? People step in there and die instantly. What do they think this is, a joke? Thanks, I guess. But the bonus reward's pretty decent, so that's something. Pretty decent. That's high praise coming from Assistant Manager Yoon. Judging by the hint of admiration on her face, it must be something special. What is it? A regeneration potion. The Don't just stand there. I bet the name alone doesn't mean much to you, huh? It absolutely did. It's too famous for anyone not to know it. This wasn't just some standard health potion you'd get from the medical bay. One of signature products, a magic potion. The miracle cure. == Dark Exploration Records / Daydream Inc. /items. Regeneration potion. A magical potion that regenerates all physical injuries. The higher the grade, the more powerful it is, with a deep green hue. == Simply put, it can regrow body parts, and this one's C grade. Even if you lose a limb, it'll regenerate just fine. Not even the exclusive equipment for section chiefs has this kind of ability. This is a company specialty. Its point value, about 10,000. Assistant Manager Yoon grinned and gave me a pat on the back. You'll find it handy someday. Our line of work is dangerous after all. Isn't it great to know you can get your arms, legs, eyes, or nose back if you lose them? Honestly, ma'am, you didn't have to put it quite like that. And one more thing, it might be disappointing or it might be good news. Wanna hear? Yes. You're not the only one getting it. Solium SSI. Hello. I waved to Go Yeonjun, who had called out to me. Beek Sahian was sitting next to her. The company had gathered the three of us for a photo op as part of the bonus reward ceremony. It was the first time I'd seen them since the escape. You'd think Beek Sahian and I would see each other all the time, being roommates, right? But lately, he's been holed up in his room. Thanks to that, I've been enjoying the living room TV with Braun in peace. Have you been resting well? Are you feeling all right? I'm fine. How about you, Go Yeonjun SSI? As I spoke, I realized something. Go Yeonjun was focusing intently on my lips, trying to read them as I spoke. My hearing hasn't returned yet. As expected. At least the rental auditory device she'd been using automatically deactivated upon leaving the exhibition, so there was no worry about exhibition staff chasing after her. And in her hands was the bonus reward the company had just given her. When she opened the ornate box, adorned with gold embossing and mural-like decorations, it revealed a beautifully wax-sealed glass bottle. Inside the glass, the light green liquid shimmered like new spring leaves. Daydream potion. Regeneration. C. Excellent. It was a C-grade regeneration potion. Go Yeonjun held the glass bottle aloft, her eyes filled with a mix of hope, uncertainty, and anticipation. Well then, I'll go ahead and try it right now. Please do. Go Yeonjun opened the regeneration potion and downed it in one go. The green magical potion slipped into Go Yeonjun's mouth. Gulp, gulp. When the liquid was gone and the glass bottle was completely empty, Go Yeonjun lowered the bottle. Eyes wide open, she brought both hands to her ears. And trembling within her palms, as if new flesh was sprouting over an injury, round lumps of flesh began growing where her ears had been torn away. In an instant, they started taking shape. The helix, tragus, and earlobes all formed distinct structures around the cartilage, and then they became whole again. WL. Goodness. Go Yeonjun SSI. Yes, oh, I can actually hear. Go Yeonjun exclaimed in disbelief as she touched her newly grown ears, then opened her smartphone's camera app to inspect them. As expected, they looked identical to her original ears. Does it hurt or feel uncomfortable? Not at all. It just itched for a moment, but then it was fine actually. It feels like my hearing is even better than before. It was truly a wonderful thing. Really, it was astonishing and awe-inspiring, something to be deeply grateful for, but this could lead to more reckless decisions. In this company, if a high-grade darkness was confirmed to involve unavoidable severe physical injuries, low-class regeneration potions were sometimes issued as standard equipment. And once people get used to that, employees would gradually begin to feel indifferent about losing parts of their bodies. It's hard the first time, but after the second it gets easier. Is that really a good thing? I glanced to the side with a strange feeling. Beek Sahian was staring somberly into the ornate box containing his regeneration potion. With one eye. Pardon, Beek Sahian SSI. Then Go Yeonjun hesitated before speaking cautiously. Losing vision in one eye has a bigger impact than you'd think. Depth perception, field of view, even balance are affected. It might be better to use it and regenerate your eye, even if it feels wasteful. Mind your own business. Go Yeonjun almost showed a "what's with this guy" expression, but chose to let it go, perhaps reassured by the return of her ears. After some hesitation, I added, given the risks of our work, there's always the chance of more injuries later. Saving it for emergencies isn't a bad idea either. Oh, that's true. The Beek Sahian suddenly trembled slightly as he stared intently at the box. Hey, why did he suddenly look like he was debating, should I just use it now, after I backed him up? Anyway, I ignored him and carefully stashed my own box. My heart beat a little faster. It was my first time seeing such a famous, powerful, and non-threatening symbolic item in person. The symbol of Daydream Inc. The magical potion. I better keep this safe. At that moment, excuse me, Solium SSI. Yes, I meant to say this earlier, but I wanted to formally thank you. Go Yeonjun looked at me and bowed slightly. Truly, truly thank you. Huh. For fighting that machine alone to let us escape. Go Yeonjun SSI, you weren't in immediate danger back then. Her ears had already been taken, so there was no more fee to pay. Honestly, the only person I really saved was Beek Sahian. And that ungrateful punk hasn't even said a single word of gratitude. What a piece of work, this punk. However, Go Yeonjun firmly shook her head. No, you came back to save us afterward, didn't you? Even lying that the candle was ours to protect us. Then, no matter how I think about it, you didn't need to do that. You could have just stayed with the D-Squad. Yeah, but actually, if I gave the candle to those guys with nerves of steel instead. What, was the situation secure now? Okay, then let's test this and test that, put it through the manual revision process and farm some points. Just imagining the chaos they would cause made me feel like I'd collapse from a heart attack. I didn't wander around that insane exhibition to find the two of you for no reason. There was something even scarier behind me that drove me to act. And if I can save someone, it's right to do so. I simply did what I could. So I just shook my head. That's something anyone would have done. Are you serious? It doesn't seem that way. If anything, considering your contributions, both of you deserve promotions as well. I feel a bit guilty being the only one promoted. Go Yeonjun frowned. And no, I don't really want to be promoted just yet. Then, oh, but Solium SSI, you do a great job though. Suddenly, I felt like I might cry. But why do you think we should be promoted? You do remember that all the items at the exhibition came out of your pockets, right? Go Yeonjun looked at me with an expression that seemed somewhat pitying. In a corporate environment, if you seem too nice, people might take you lightly, so maybe you don't always have to be so kind to others. Yes. It really felt like she was overestimating me thanks to the savior effect. but remembering the silver heart badge, I simply lowered my head. Be kind. Thank you for the advice. Beek Sahian, looking utterly incredulous, alternated his gaze between me and Go Yeonjun before clamping his mouth shut. Then, without a word, he stood up and left. Well, let's just leave him be. I exchanged polite goodbyes with Go Yeonjun and turned around, deep in thought. When should I start wearing the silver heart badge? Should I only use it during missions? As I rolled the badge around in my pocket with my fingers, planning things out, a now familiar silhouette appeared at the end of the hallway. A white lizard head. Squad leader. Kim Solium SSI. It seemed the squad leader had been talking with the team leader while I was receiving my award. By now, even those vertical pupils were starting to feel somewhat familiar. Is this the savior effect too? I momentarily recalled the lizard's brutal knuckle strikes that had split the usher machine's needle in two and fell silent. Then the lizard's vertical pupils shifted toward the empty regeneration potion bottle and its box. Did you use it? Pardon? Oh, it wasn't mine. My colleague here, Go Yeonjun SSI, used it. Hello, sir. It's nice to meet you. I'm Go Yeonjun. Go Yeonjun bowed her head politely to the unfamiliar lizard, or rather, the squad leader from another team. The lizard regarded her with unblinking eyes. I have a question. Why, yes. Are you the owner of the escape item? Pardon. 3 days ago, in the B-class darkness with the exhibition format, did you possess the cognitive interference item shaped like a candle? Oh, something like that. Yes, that's correct. Go Yeonjun glanced at me, quickly grasping the situation, and trailed off her sentence. But she didn't outright deny it, showing some situational awareness. Still, she probably felt it was time to make a swift exit. Well then, I'll be going now. With that polite farewell, she quietly slipped away in the opposite direction down the hallway. Good judgment. Relieved, I took a water bottle out of my bag and drank a sip. Kim Solium SSI. Yes. Refrain from repeated lies. I nearly spit the water out through my nose. The more you repeat them, the less effective they become. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the video and comment down if anything wrong in the story, and if have any suggestion to a new novel or want next part of any series, comment down. Our target is to get 1K subscriber. There will be SUPRISC for all of you. Stay tuned.